Hi, everybody. Am I audible now? Am I audible now? Hello? Hello. Am I audible? Am I audible? Please tell me yes or no. Fine. Thank you. Okay. Let everybody join. We'll wait for 2 minutes. Then we'll begin with the same example that we were studying. Let everybody join. We'll wait for another 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then we'll begin. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience caused. There was some technical glitch that happened. I'm really sorry for that. Chalo, fine. I was explaining you this example, right, which was good faith and due care. This example was there's this doctor, right? There's this husband and wife, right? Wife is pregnant and the husband meets with an accident, right? Now, the wife takes the husband to the doctor. And here, what happens is, on the process of the treatment, the husband dies. So now there are two scenarios. First scenario is the doctors come out of the room and the wife is sitting here, right? He comes, tells, hello madam, your husband has died, pick up the body and go away from here, right? And listening to this thing of doctor, the wife faces a trauma and she faces the miscarriage there and then, right? The second situation is that the wife is sitting here, the doctor comes, makes her sit down, relaxes her, gives her a glass of water, and then tells her that, yes, ma'am, please don't worry. We understand this is a moment which is very unforeseeable, but your husband has died, and every such sort of thing. Now he tells her, and now she gets up, she bends into a trauma. Later on, after 7-8 hours, because she lost her husband and she faces a miscarriage. What do you think, in which of the stances the doctor took a good faith and due care while telling the wife? And what scenario do you think that should be approachable? Which scenario? Tell me. Which one was a better way of telling the wife? Second scenario? Second scenario. Why? Because here he took a proper good faith and due care while telling the wife, right? So here, just coming and rudely saying to the wife, pick up your husband and go away. That was where the good faith and due care was not taken by the doctor, and the doctor would be liable for the miscarriage of the wife that happened, right? There has to be a proper good faith and due care that has to be maintained while you are doing certain action of yours, right? The another defense is accidents, section 80, right? Accident, the name in itself, something which happened accidentally, something that was not unforeseen, that was not foreseeable, right? That is accident. Exempts a person from liability if the act was done without criminal intent or knowledge, lawfully and with proper care and caution, right? The incident must be unforeseen event or not attributable to human fault, right? Tunda versus Rex, there's this case law where an accidental injury during a wrestling match was not considered criminal due to implied consent and lack of foul play. Eh, Apart from this example, I'll give you one more example. Let's first say there's this car driver. He's driving a car, right? And he's going in the right side of the road with normal speed, that is 60 km per hour, right? With a normal speed, right? Now, there's this mother and a child on this side of the road. And the mother is so engrossed in shopping that she doesn't see that the child is moving towards the road, and the child all of a sudden comes in front of the car, and the child is hit by this car driver, right? The child is hit by this car driver. Will the car driver be held liable for hitting the child? Tell me. Will the car driver be held liable for hitting the child? Tell me. Will the car driver be held liable for hitting the child? No. Why? Because he was at a normal speed, right? He was moving in the right direction of the road. It is the mother's fault who was not paying attention to the child, and the child all of a sudden came in front of the road, right? It is a totally unforeseen event. The car driver cannot imagine any such instance to happen, right? It is totally unforeseeable. And that is why this is the car driver is not liable, right? Understand this doctrine of necessity now. Just a second. Yes. Now, doctrine of necessity. Anybody, can anybody tell me that what do you understand by the term necessity? Very simple meaning. We use this word into daily day-to-day life. What do you understand by this term necessity? Yes, that's a sudden carelessness, not driver's fault. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of necessity? Wants, okay. Need, okay. Something which is necessarily needs to be done, which is important, which is now at present important to do, required to be done, right? So this is something, requirements, yes, requires the act to be done in good faith and without mens rea, choosing the lesser evil to prevent a greater harm. Always remember, the law says that you can cause a smaller harm to protect a bigger harm. Now I'll give you two examples. Okay. Now you need to tell me in which example who would be liable and who would not be. Right. First example is, there is this boat. There are three people on this, and one is the captain who is driving the ship. Right. Now these people are over with their food and everything is over. They have nothing to eat now on this ship, right? Now these three people, they decide that we will kill the captain and we will eat him for our survival, and in for 1 week we will be able to survive by eating him, and later on When we reach the port, we will anyhow get the food. In 1 week, we will reach the port, right? This is the first example, right? The second example is, there is this ship, right? There are 3 people on it, right? Coming from this direction. There is this another ship with 21 people on the ship, right? There is this another ship which is coming from this direction, which has just 2 people, right? Now, this ship is flowing in certain direction, that now it has to take a certain turn. Either it can go this way, either it can go this way, right? It cannot move seedha, because there are high tides that are coming from direct. Just assume, right? High tides are coming and the ship necessarily has to move either in this direction or either in this direction. In either of the directions this ship move, either it will hit this boat or either it will hit this boat, right? So now what happens is that this particular ship moves in this direction, and these 3 people, this ship is hit by this, and these 3 people are killed, and they are saved, right? Now tell me, who would be liable in whom in these particular situations? Tell me in first example, who would be liable? Tell me. Who would be liable in first example? Three people, because they killed one person, right? In this first example, these 3 people will be liable for killing this one captain. Why? Because law presumes public necessity as a defense and not the private necessity. आप public necessity के लिए कुछ करते हो, then that is fine. But if you're doing something for your private necessity, then that is not excusable. यहाँ पे आपने अपने आप को बचाने के लिए किसी की जान ले ली. Can you do that? Can you do that? To protect yourself, to just get yourself some food, can you kill somebody? Can you kill somebody? No, you cannot. And that is why this is the case of a private necessity. And that is why this will not be excusable. Here these 3 people are liable. Clear? Come back to this example. Is this a case of public necessity or private necessity? Second example. Second example. Public. Why? This is case of public necessity. Why? Because अगर वो इस direction में move कर जाते तो they would have killed 21 people, which is not acceptable. And that is why, as I already told you, that causing a lesser harm to prevent a bigger harm is excusable. Is excusable. Yes, because the captain wanted to save the life of 21 people, and that is why it was necessary for them to take the turn. Otherwise, the 21 people would have killed, and that is where this is the case of public necessity. Clear, everybody? This is clear? Case examples: R versus Dudley and Stephens, where seaman killed a boy for survival but was still convicted as self-preservation does not justify homicide. As I already told you, private necessity is no necessity. Clear? Distinction from self-defense. Necessity involves choosing a lesser evil, while self-defense is a direct response to the aggressor. We will see what self-defense consists of. United States versus Holmes. A crew member convicted of manslaughter. Again, the ship wala example. If you are killing somebody, right, for just to feed yourself, right? Manslaughter, killing somebody for throwing passengers overboard during a shipwreck, right? Then that is also conviction and you will not be excused of this one particular act. Gopal Naidu versus Emperor. Police officers restrained a drunken man with a revolver to prevent public nuisance, justified under necessity despite the technical offense of wrongful confinement. Clear? The defense of necessity is clear. Second case is public necessity, but the case is that boat with 21 people can have better protections. No, you do not have to apply the logics. सिर्फ facts पे जाओ, अपने logics पे apply नहीं करना है. Whatever facts are there, that only you have to think of, and that only you have to apply on the question. Do not apply the logics. Do not. Is this clear, everybody? Fine. Now, in fancy, right? Section 82 and 83 of the Indian Penal Code provides immunity from criminal liability to child offenders based on their age and presumed mental capacity, right? सिर्फ दो ही चीजें आपको इसमें पढ़नी है, right? Age factor, what is the age of the child, and the mental capacity of the child. Right? If a child is doing any offense, उस केस में क्या होगा? That is the defense of infancy. Section 82 presumes that children under 7 years old are incapable of committing a criminal act. Dolly in capex. Children under 7 years of age will not be liable for anything. Will not be liable for anything. That is the defense of infancy. 7 years के नीचे कोई भी बच्चा कोई भी एक्ट कर रहा है, he will not be liable. Right? This presumption is conclusive. Conclusive का क्या मतलब है? Understand this. Meaning such children cannot form the necessary mens rea to commit a crime regardless of evidence. अगर उनके against evidence भी है, तो भी आप 7 years से नीचे वाले इंसान को liable नहीं बनाओगे. The child will not be liable in any scenario if the child is below 7 years of age. Not liable at all. Not liable at all. Right? This recognition is based on the belief that children under 7 lack the mental ability to understand the nature and consequences of their actions. Because of their age, they are not mentally capable of understanding the nature and the consequences of their act, and that is why we are not making them liable. Clear, everybody? Clear? Moving ahead. Section 83. Section 83, child between 7 to 12 years. 7 to 12 years. उसमें आप कैसे examine करोगे? All you don't have to study this, just understand one thing. When the child is 7 to 12 years of age, right? All you have to see is that whether this child is understanding the nature and consequences of his or her act. If he is understanding, yes, then he is liable. If he is not, then not liable. Bas, simple. 7 to 12. 7 se niche, no liability. But for 7 to 12, person has to understand the nature and consequences. If it understands, then he is liable, he or she is liable. If he doesn't understand, not liable. Let me explain you this with an example. There is this two brother and sister, A and B, right? They went to a relative's place. A is 16 years, the elder brother, and B is the younger sister, 9 years of age. Okay? Now, this A The elder brother tells the younger sister that there is a gold chain lying on the table. Go pick it up and hide it with yourself and give it to me afterwards. ठीक है? The person went, pick up the gold chain and kept and started playing. He did not see that what is happening. Now this brother came to the younger sister, take out the chain from her pocket and went. In this scenario, will the younger sister of 9 years old be liable for theft? For theft. Tell me, will the younger sister be liable for theft? नो. वाई? बिकॉज उसका मेंसरिया ही नहीं था, उसको पता ही नहीं था कि वो क्या कर रहा है. उसके भाई ने उसको जैसा बोला उसने वैसा कर दिया. अनदर एग्जाम्पल इज they went to a relative's place. Same example. This younger sister saw that there is a gold chain lying on the table, right? And she saw that, oh, if I pick this gold chain up and sell it to somebody, I will get a lot of toys. I'll get a lot of toys. So she picks up the chain, hides her in the pocket with the intention that she will sell it off and get new toys. Will she be liable now? Will she be liable now for theft? Yes. Now she will be liable because she understood the consequences of the act. Right? So समझ में आया? 7 to 12 years में दो phenomena you have to see. Whether the person is understanding the consequences of the act or whether the person is not understanding the consequences of the act. Clear, everybody? Yes, because she had the intention to gain money from it. Fine. So this was your class for today. We studied 5 general exceptions and tomorrow we will be solving up the questions at 1 p.m. again. Right? Tomorrow we will be solving up the questions. Example was great. Thank you. Okay. If you have any doubts, I'm waiting here for 2 minutes. Tell me your doubts and then we can wrap up the session and I'll see you tomorrow. Any doubts? Clear. Okay. मिस्टेक ऑफ लॉ इज समथिंग कि मिस्टेक ऑफ लॉ इज नॉट एक्सक्यूज्ड. मतलब आप ये कभी भी डिफेंस नहीं ले सकते, कभी भी ये डिफेंस नहीं ले सकते दैट यू डिडंट नो द लॉ. आपको अपना लॉ पता होना चाहिए. यू कैन नॉट एवर टेक अ डिफेंस दैट यू डिड नॉट नो द लॉ ऑफ द कंट्री वेयर यू स्टे. Right? Mistake of law is not excusable. That is just mistake of law. That is just you have to understand in mistake of law. Ma'am, is it possible to have the session in evening as till 2 I have to attend the school? You don't have the summer vacations going on, Trish? You don't have the summer vacations going on? Why? I'll try to keep it in the evening, but I'll have to check the availability of me. Like I have certain other classes as well. I'll check the availability and then decide, right? Chalo, fine. Now, thank you everybody. I'll see you in tomorrow's class. It's just an application class. If anybody misses it, they can watch it later, right? And I'll see you in the next class that is happening tomorrow. We'll solve up the questions that whatever we have studied today and try attending it if you can take an off of your school tomorrow or any sort of thing that you can manage. And I'll see you in the next class tomorrow. Same time, same place. Bye-bye. See ya.